Welcome, Wild Birds Unlimited store owners, to the Knox Cellars Mason Bees virtual booth that we have here for the 2020 annual convention. We sincerely appreciate you inviting us. The Knox Cellars Mason Bees were the featured bee folks for pollination. We were with you last year with the booth at the 2019, and really looking forward to this year's event and educating more and more of you about our orchard mason bees. We're filming from our backyard, our booth here, and this will be the same thing when you're placing your orders, so any drive-by cars or other noises of birds, etc., please ignore. But we're having a lot of fun with our orchard mason bees, and what we're going to try to do is educate you on the bees primarily so that you can take this education and be able to train your staff, use the same information when you're also talking with your customers. The two-piece flyer that we have here, this is our come to our booth whenever we give a talk. We also have a two-page handout that we also use that we'll provide to you, and this would be in your new profit center. You would have this brand new hobby guide that the customers can pick up and take home with them, and then they'll make some decisions as to how they want to get involved with orchard mason bees. So everything you see here we can provide for your information, so you can make your own tablets that you may want to do. The orchard mason bee is a beautiful pollinating bee. It's native to North America. That's probably the most important thing to understand. This native bee is a non-stinger. It's solitary, like most mason bees, like all mason bees are. And then, of course, of the 3,500 species of bees that we have in North America, almost all of them are solitary pollinators. The only problem children, of course, are your wasps, your hornets, your yellow jackets, and our honeybees, who do sting, but the orchard mason bee doesn't, so you can reassure your customers. Mason bee female and male are both all black. The female is quite a bit larger. She's got a hairier body. You can tell the difference between the mason bee male and female because their wings fold straight back like a fighter. And the flies, their wings are out to the side, much like maybe a plane landing on an aircraft carrier. So flies have their wings out to the side for easy identification. Mason bees, when they fold them back, are along the back side of their body. The male is also very easy to identify from the female, who's larger. The male has a little white tuft on its front forward. It looks like a little mustache that it might have on its forehead. And the male comes out usually about 2 to 3 weeks before the female. The males are always laid in the front part of all of these tubes. So here we can see the mudded over fronts of all of our mason bee tubes that we have here. In the front 2/3 of each one of these containers of what we've harvested this year are all male cocoons. The back 1/3 in the back are all females. And how that process happens is, and next year when our bees do come out, the males come out first because they're in the front. The females come out about 10 days later, and they're impregnated immediately, and then the female begins her work. She'll go out and gather some nectar and pollen and be able to then get her energy levels up to develop her first egg. She then, as she's laying her eggs, she starts in the very back of all of these different holes, be they the tube systems or be they the segmented box systems like this. And when she goes deep into a hole in the very back, she knows that that egg is going to be safe. Thus, then she makes that egg a female egg. She does that from the standpoint that she knows that back third, a predator can't get back there. So as she's ovulating and releasing an egg, she releases sperm that she has saved in her body, thus creating a female egg, which is fascinating. When she's in the front 2/3, where there's a little more openness to the predation, birds and insects, whatever, she won't release sperm, thus she creates the male egg. So she can create the sex of the egg in each one of these particular tubes. The first thing she does when she starts her process, she's got to gather mud. So she'll gather 10 to 12 trips of mud gathering and pack that into the very back, smooth over that mud, and then she'll do another 25 to 30 trips of nectar gathering. And then once she's packed that nectar in there, she'll smooth that over as well and then lay her egg into that particular mass of nectar. It's so easy for her to do this because she has a hairy body where all the pollen is. She'll shred the pollen off of her body, regurgitate the nectar, mix the paste, and then pack that in there. So it's quite the process that she has. After she's laid that egg in the first chamber, she'll then mud over the next section. So about every 3/4 of an inch, it'll be mud, nectar, pollen, egg, all the way out to the front. And then in the very front of each one of these straws, she'll mud over that front section there, and behind there is an empty hole. There's an empty section there, and thus you have this protection where she's got a false compartment in the front of every single one of these. She is a very effective pollinator. She'll visit 1,618 flowers a day. She'll effectively pollinate 95% of those in most cases, and whereas a honeybee will only pollinate maybe 12 to 15 flowers a day. Honeybees are effective just from a standpoint of sheer numbers in their giant hives, whereas mason bees, females, are far more effective on a one-on-one basis than any other pollinating bee or insect. For your own particular shop, it's very simple to get it going. You can make copies of our particular handout there, copies of the 2-page handout, and then you develop your profit center with a selection of product, including, first of all, of course, the Mason Bee book. We then include the most important thing, which are the cocoons. This is how we sell them to your store. It's a small little white box that we sell our cocoons in, and inside of there you'll have 25 cocoons with a mixture of male and female that are inside of each one of these boxes. On the very top of it, once we seal it up, is instructions for your customers when they go home as to how to process the orchard mason bees. We also sell them in the cardboard tubes and straws. You can buy from us a grouping of 4 of these straws where the cocoons are all inside, and sell them as well. The other thing that's really cool to have in your particular store, along with the book and the bees, are the new handouts that are provided by Earth, Wind, and Sky out of New Hampshire. This is our Western guide, very cool educational guide that you'll be able to get and order those as well. We've got an Eastern version, Western version, and both of these are brand new in this past year. So book, a folder, a set of bees. Now we need housing for them. We need a shelter. Here's a particular shelter we call the covered over areas, such as this or something like this. These are your shelters. Inside of your shelters you have your tubes where the bees will do their work, or you will also have inside of the shelter one of the segmented ones where they'll fill this up, and then you can clean them out each year because the wood is segmented. So now shelter, the new homes, again a set of bees, your book, and the customer then has a 2-page handout, and they'll go home with all the information they need to set up their own mason bee work in their backyard. Really quite simple. There's also a lot of fun ways of providing them information as well. We've got shelters that have a little observation box on the side. So on the side of this particular one, you can open up and watch how they are doing their work in that particular slide. It's a wonderful grandparent gift to a grandchild to teach them about the solitary bees that are doing all this wonderful work in a particular backyard. We also have these that are sold separately. It's basically the little observation box that you would mount on a wall. And here you can actually see where they have done their work on the inside of here. We've got all the different cocoons that are inside of here, and you can see the work that is going on. So once again, to get started, we need the book. You've got the 2-page handout, and then you order, depending on the level of information that you need in your particular new profit center. We'll then fill up your store with an appropriate display that will draw the attention of your customers. We have buying levels, and we can adjust them for every single store. We have $500, $750, $1,000. We have some stores we've sent out $3,000 to $4,000 worth of product for them to get started who might have a larger presentation area that they can do it. And we can modify these again depending upon your budget for your store and your location. It's been very successful last year. We were at the Vendor Mart last year in 2019, or excuse me, 2019, yes, and we're really looking forward to this year's virtual selling opportunity that we may have for this particular year. I think we may be running out of time, but I want to say welcome. We'll answer any of your questions that you may have. Our website and everything is on your hobby guide information that you got from the franchise. You can always call me at 360-908-0817 and email us at knoxcellarsmasonbees@gmail.com. Thank you very much, and we're looking forward to seeing you at the virtual Vendor Mart coming up. Thank you very much.